In the intricate fabric of modern life, a quiet paradox haunts many of us, the feeling of a deep, inexplicable absence, even in the midst of love, companionship, and outward success. You may find yourself surrounded by friends, embraced by family, or entwined in romantic connection. Yet a subtle ache lingers, a silent weight in the chest, a ghostly emptiness that won't be soothed by external presence. It's as though an invisible barrier has formed, separating you not just from others, but from your own inner self. This persistent feeling is not a sign of weakness, nor is it mere emotional neediness. Rather, it is a profound signal, an urgent whisper from the depths of your unconscious, trying to tell you something essential, that you are estranged from your own soul. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, recognized this internal emptiness as a quiet but devastating form of suffering. Many of his patients, despite appearing psychologically well on the surface, were plagued by a subtler malaise, the loss of meaning, the severance from a rich and symbolic inner life. They were not mentally ill in the clinical sense, but they were spiritually starved, disconnected from the deeper rhythms of the psyche. This disconnection does not stay confined within. It spills outward, infiltrating relationships and shaping how we connect with others. When you lose touch with your soul, you unconsciously begin to look for wholeness in another person. The emptiness within, unacknowledged, becomes a hidden demand placed upon those you love, an unspoken plea for them to fill a void they cannot see, let alone heal. In contemporary society, many relationships become fragile because of this dynamic. We enter partnerships burdened with hidden expectations, carrying emotional wounds we hope someone else will mend. But when the other fails to live up to this impossible role, when they cannot magically restore what was lost within, disappointment sets in. The bond begins to fray, not because love was absent, but because fantasy had quietly replaced it. This pattern repeats itself over and over. You may drift from one relationship to another, or remain in a stagnant connection, trying to revive a passion that never had roots in reality. The problem is not the people who have crossed your path. It is the uncharted terrain within you that you have not yet faced. This inner void is often rooted in aspects of yourself that you've rejected or disowned. Your shadow, your hidden feminine, animo in men, or your unacknowledged masculine, animus in women. Your soul, the living essence of who you are, gets buried beneath a life spent chasing validation, achievement, and image. The journey back to the soul is not a quick fix. Jung never promised simple solutions to the complex dilemmas of the psyche, but he did offer a path, a way to begin reconnecting with the deepest parts of ourselves. As long as we search outward for what is missing inward, we remain trapped in a cycle of emptiness and frustration. The persistent sense of inner disconnection is far from trivial. It is the voice of your unconscious, calling you to wake up from a life lived on autopilot. Day after day, you may go through the motions, working, talking, consuming, appearing to function, yet feeling hollow within, as though a vital spark has gone missing. This kind of suffering rarely shows up in dramatic ways. It's not a breakdown that sends you to therapy. It's a quiet erosion of aliveness, a subtle but growing numbness. Life begins to lose color and flavor, and soon you find yourself merely surviving rather than truly living. Jung observed this condition in many of his patients, people who were productive and outwardly successful, yet burdened by a nagging sense of futility. They had careers, families, and status, but no connection to something meaningful within. The missing piece was the soul, not in a religious sense, but as the symbolic dimension of being, the part that gives life depth and resonance. Without this inner richness, everything becomes flat. You adapt to the demands of the world, perform your roles, and appear competent, but inside, you feel impoverished, disconnected from inspiration, joy, and purpose. This emotional depletion can manifest in subtle ways: persistent boredom, a sense of numbness, a quiet despair that nothing truly matters. In more severe cases, it becomes corrosive enough to damage everything you've built on the outside. In such a state, relationships inevitably begin to suffer. You may turn to your partner hoping they will spark something alive in you, carry the burden of your unspoken sorrow, or offer meaning to your existence, but they are likely wrestling with their own inner emptiness. The result is mutual disappointment, a sense that love has failed, when in truth, it was asked to carry a burden it could never bear. Modern culture encourages this detachment from the inner life. We are taught to value productivity over presence, performance over authenticity, and image over essence. The world tells us to have rather than to be, but in doing so, it silences the soul's voice, the dreams, intuitions, symbols, and discomforts that guide us inward. Eventually, the soul protests, and it often does so in the realm of our most intimate relationships, where we are most vulnerable and most revealed. Yet this breakdown is not the end. It is the beginning. The pain you feel is a call to transformation, an invitation to turn inward and face what has long been hidden. True healing begins not by fixing your relationships, but by examining the self you bring into them. Our relationships reflect our inner state. They act as mirrors, revealing the forgotten, fragmented, and unhealed parts of ourselves. Until we explore these inner dynamics, we will keep encountering the same patterns, the same disappointments, and the same longing disguised as love. The journey to reclaim the soul is not easy, but it is necessary, and it begins by listening to the subtle whisper within, the one that has been asking all along, "Where did you go?"